Another big weekend for the Dogs with recruiting. We're going to go over this real quick. Matt DeBerry is typically the person that talks about recruiting. He knows this situation really about as well as anybody that covers the Dogs, and it's a very good group that does cover them. But it is a huge weekend for Georgia. I'm going to talk about this just for a little bit. There's a lot of guys that are coming in. Jonel Aguero is one person to watch, I think, for sure. So he is in Massachusetts, is where he plays. Five-star safety. Obviously, Kirby has done a very good job through the years with defensive backs, but it looks like it's down to Miami and the Dogs for Guerrero, and we'll just see what happens. I mean, we think at Dog Post that Georgia's in a very good position, um, and the challenging part right now, when you start talking about the situation at Miami, is Cristobal has gone down there, and Miami has become fully committed to reversing its situation. A situation that, with the exception of a year or two, with Mark Richt, they had a rough. They've had a rough, well, 20 years almost since Larry Coker held up the glass football with their win over Nebraska, the loss to Ohio State, etc. The Canes really never got it back after that magical year in 2001. But Guerrero is going to be a guy to to really pay attention to. Obviously this past weekend when you had so many guys, many of which we think will wind up at Georgia, and you also had Arch Manning, who is the only person anybody seems to care about talking about. Um, that was a huge weekend. This is not a horrible weekend. Here are some guys that we suspect will be there. Now we don't know 100% until they get on campus. Okay, Tyler Williams is a Lakeland, Florida guy, a receiver, a four-star guy from down there. Georgia's had a lot of success in Florida with receivers lately. When you start talking about the players that they have gotten, they are also doing a much better job recruiting receivers. Brian McClendon coming in, that's going to matter a lot. Uh, Another player from Jacksonville, a linebacker, four-star Grayson Howard from Jackson High School, which is, if I'm not mistaken, in Jacksonville, near, not so far from the Gator Bowl. So, or the whatever it is called now, I can't remember. So that's somebody to pay attention to as well. Jamal Garrett from Grimsley and Greensboro. So Greensboro is not that far away from Georgia, but you've got to drive past Clemson to get there. So Jamal Jarrett's another guy to pay attention to. Um, Kelton Smith from Carver in Columbus, um, an offensive lineman. We're going to see uh, what happens with Smith over time. Now Stacey Searles coming in. Uh, Anthony Edwards from Converse, Texas, a four-star player. These are guys you're seeing right now with the, the list I'm reading off. Just how broad Georgia's recruiting base has become. And, it's something we're going to talk about on Sunday and Monday over on Dog Post. Make sure that you're checking us out on those 2 days. But when you look at the breadth of guys, I mean, I mentioned couple guys from Florida. That's not abnormal. A guy from Texas. Obviously a commitment with McElderry from Anson. That's offensive lineman from Alabama. Um, Georgia is spreading out its recruiting worldview, for lack of a better term, and are really attacking wherever the player is. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, Pierce Sperling, Bo Hughley, Raymond Cottrell from a wide receiver. I just talked about McElderry, Gabriel Harris, Justin Rhett, Lawson Lucky from Norcross. I mean, Georgia is pretty spread out with these guys, and I think that what we'll see over time is this is going to continue. I do not think that we are going to see Georgia say, "Oh, well, you got to build a fence around Georgia. I mean, nobody. I mean, that's gone, right? I mean, that doesn't exist anymore. But Valdosta, Norcross, those are really good football areas. But so is Florida. A couple kids already committed from Florida. A kid from Bishop Gorman and Justin Rhett, a DB. Anson, Alabama. I mean, Anson's had plenty of players come out of there. So we're going to see where Georgia continues to go nationally with recruiting, because that's what this has become. This is a fight between Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State. The three of them have really, and now Texas A&M too. I mean, if Texas A&M wants to win the national championship, if Texas A&M wants their Aggie-struction, for lack of a better term, make sure you're picking up the book down below. 80 pages, full color, hardcover and full color. If Texas A&M wants to get into this ball game in a substantial way, not just a one-off, right? Then we're going to know that over the next couple of years. And the other thing we can't yet know, like for instance, with Lawson Lucky as an example, what are the NIL ramifications for the two tight ends that Georgia is pulling in? Is this now only about quarterbacks and five-star players? Is that all the folks that are going to be able to um, take advantage of NIL? I mean, I don't think so. But if Brock Vandagriff were coming up, if Zamir, if James Cook, what would their value have been in 17 and 18 or 18 and 19? I can't remember the years all of a sudden. But what would it have been like, and how does that affect Bo Hughley? Or I mean, who knows, right? I don't know, but that's something to watch as well. But more than anything, uh, this program has gotten to the point now where you know it is either the best program in terms of recruiting players, or it's the second best behind Alabama. Ohio State's right there with them too. Um, this group has always known how to recruit, and now that we've seen them add a national championship to the mix, we've not yet seen the the recruiting bump that you would associate with programs that just won the national championship. My argument would be you're not going to see a bump necessarily because there's two reasons. A, it's June. B, more importantly, Georgia has recruited at a high level for such a long time that the so-called bump would be hard to notice anyway. If we're being completely honest, I'm not sure that we would be able to notice that yet. Everyone's going to focus on Arch Manning, and I think he goes. I can't remember if he's this week is at Texas or at Alabama, but that is one player. We think Georgia is in a two-man fight with Texas. That is one player. One player does not make your program. Bryce Young, who is exceptional, can tell you that. This is him getting ragdolled right here by Jordan Davis. This is 3 first rounders throwing the Heisman Trophy winner to the ground. Pick up DAWGSTRUCTION as soon as you can. I'm running out of copies. You got to have more than just one player. I don't know what Arch Manning is going to do. I don't know what any of these players are going to do. I don't know. But I do know this. The entire program is what wins. It's not just one player. If it was about one player, Isaiah Crowell would have delivered a national championship. Matthew would have. Jacob Eason would have. Enter the name of any high pro, AJ Green. They would have all gotten it done, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to have everybody. You have to have, for every Arch Manning, you got to have a Broderick Jones blocking for him, or Marius Mims, or whoever. And this weekend is about the building blocks towards moments where you are lifting trophies. It takes this long. I mean, it's this far out. So, hey, check out DAWGSTRUCTION below, and make sure you're going to Dog Post on Sunday. I also have an announcement here during some of the videos on Sunday that I think a lot of y'all will be excited about.